Hi there, everyone. This is Ryan, aka Dr. Page, aka Repair of Reputations, depending on what context you know me in. I wanted to do a quick video today to demo a pedal I've been working on. It's a prototype. For lack of a better way of describing it, it's kind of like I wanted you to be able to have essentially every kind of distortion possible in a pedal. And so it allows you to do a lot of things and has a lot of control of the dynamics of your sound in different ways so that it hits the distortions very differently. I created this really initially as a wedding present for a friend of mine. One of my best friends is getting married this year, and I was really trying to think of the coolest thing I could do for him. Aside from that, I've developed a bunch of kind of interesting effects for a class I was teaching, trying to show students how effects work and trying to kind of break things down to their simplest components. So this was based on a really simple compressor design I came up with that kind of handles dynamics a little differently. So the guitar I'm using is just a Squier Jazzmaster. It's been cleaned up. I handled the electronics a little bit to just mainly to get rid of any kind of noise, which is funny considering the pedal that I just made. This is the sound of the clean guitar. I didn't even tune my guitar before this. And then I'm going to engage the pedal. It's at some random setting that I left it at, but I did make sure to turn all the primary distortions off. So there's some weird stuff already. You'll notice that it's pretty grabby. So as I turn up the gain, we are going to hear a certain amount of noise here. One thing it's doing, which is kind of funny, is it's basically the upward compression is kind of extreme. So if I put it to certain settings, you'll actually get the notes that I'm not playing. The sort of quieter parts will be potentially louder than the loud parts, depending on how much compression I've applied. But you can get these kind of nice, kind of vintage rock type tones. The way this works is that I have a certain amount of upward compression, a certain amount of downward compression. We have basically the exact same time, attack time and decay time for both. We just have two settings for that. And then in addition to that, the settings are pretty. The range is pretty wide, so it can get really extreme and do kind of weird stuff depending on what I set it to. That was sort of the basic idea, I guess, and the end of the chain here is basically just a soft clipper, right? So it's, in sort of mathematical terms, it's just a hyperbolic tangent function, so like a sigmoid function. Eventually, as you get louder, you're going to sound more and more like a square wave, but we're not going to immediately clip the sound. Where it gets kind of interesting is I started to think like, okay, well, I have a bunch of switches on the front of this just by virtue of the terrarium format. Like I should probably do something with that. And then I started thinking, oh, well, I'll flip one of the switches and I'll have it do some kind of interesting other type of distortion. And so I decided, well, like, screw it. We'll do 16 different types of distortion. And I think this is where it gets pretty interesting. So the sort of first alternative type here is kind of a Marshall JCM. Which again will interact with all the weird stuff that's happening in the circuit itself. So if I have like super fast attack times, which can go really fast, you'll get distortion from that as well as the kind of JCM stuff. Kind of stuff, yeah. I'm not gonna try and shred. And then we can push that pretty far. Which can get pretty weird. Again, readjusting my mic, super pro here. So this third one is a kind of hard clip sound. So let me flip that over. And yeah, it can feedback like a bastard. And then for the fourth one, we have a really weird one. Weird, right? So that is kind of a inspired by the Axis virus synthesizer. So one of the distortion modes I really liked was there's one where the louder you get, instead of becoming more distorted or more overdriven, your sample rate is reduced, so you get more of this kind of bit crushed tone. And then we have a more extreme level of that. And finally, we have one that just kind of totally subsumes the entire sound. This one, which is kind of interesting, which is sort of based on, move the damn mic again, sort of based on magnetic tape. Like things will kind of almost get like sucked into the center on the zero crossing. So. It can do interesting stuff. This tape mode, I believe. And you can hear it's the same kind of thing, but it's much more fuzzy. So the previous one, there was a little bit of an attack decay time for that, so that it would get kind of pulled in to zero a little bit more smoothly, whereas this. So the next one is a kind of a take on the Serge triple wave shaper, which is, if you've messed around with modular synthesizers, it's a interesting kind of design. Basically, it's a wave shaper based around full wave rectification. Not the kind of rectification you think of like a rectification in like a Marshall amp, but the actual waveform. Like when that waveform enters into the sort of negative side of things, it's flipped around. Kind of like an absolute value function. So yeah, very weird distortion. You can see probably why that wasn't included in too many regular synthesizers. The next one we have, let me just pull it up here, is a phase distortion. Another one that you can just wonder why that wasn't a classic pedal tone. Then we have a wave folder. The next one is a modulo function, which is basically another strange form of distortion. It's getting increasingly weird as it goes up here. One of the few modes where it's going to sound sort of higher fidelity the louder you hit it. Then we have basically an exclusive OR. So yeah, the louder you play, the quieter it gets. Finally, we have a sub-octave. It does not like polyphony. So that's basically all the modes in here. I did add one other thing, which was just because I had it. I took the second stomp switch here and made it a negative feedback loop. So yeah, that one is absolutely use at your own risk, and will not be making it into any kind of production run I do of these. So the reason I made this video was to kind of demonstrate this pedal. I wanted to have some documentation about it. I've been talking about it for a while, and it does a lot of things, right? And it's very hard to describe to people because I think it does a clean sound pretty well, right? It does all the things you'd want a kind of clean boost to do, with, you know, a lot of control over dynamics and stuff like that, which means it can hit a tube amp really well. The way that I sort of thought of this was I have like a Benson amp, which is a decent little tube amp, and I wanted something that could sit in front of it and be digital and have all these kind of weird controls that digital stuff does, but at the same time could work really well and kind of work back and forth with an analog amp. The other thing was, you know, because I had made this for a friend of mine, we were both pretty into metal when we first started learning guitar together, and I really wanted to have something that could, you know, not only play like kind of like rock stuff or whatever, and then because I mostly make kind of weird avant-garde noisy stuff, I wanted it to be able to do that kind of in as many ways as it does the other things. I am thinking of doing a run of these, like a very small run, because I'm going to have to hand build them. I think I would probably just order these cases, hand drill them, get the daisy boards, get the terrarium boards and the associated parts, and just hand build like 10 of them. And that would probably be kind of expensive to produce. So I'm thinking it's going to potentially be like $300 and up. If anyone's interested in that, let me know in the comments, or just reach out to me directly. I would consider doing that if there's interest in it. If it's just something that you know, myself and my friend are going to enjoy, that's totally fine. There's going to be certain things that are going to be specific to these that won't be in commercial versions, and there's also going to be things that will be specific to this first run that will definitely not be in commercial versions, especially because I'm looking to remove at least one of the stomp switches here. So I think, yeah, there may be other changes, but yeah, this first run I think would be pretty cool to do if there's interest in it. It is just expensive enough to sort of, it would be the kind of thing where I'd like to know if anyone was interested first. I'm not planning on doing anything like pre-orders or something like that, because I think that's kind of dumb and not really in the spirit of what I'm doing. More that I'd like to know whether people are interested in it, and if they're interested in it, then I'd be happy to kind of build up those and incur those costs and see if people want to check them out. So yeah, thanks for spending time with me here. I apologize for my guitar playing.